Bathroom is coming along quite nicely. We've cut some pieces. They're not in, of course, yet. This top piece is not properly in, just kind of positioned, but also that is starting to look organized. So we got our tile, looks very nice. It's aluminum for stainless steel front, adhesive on the back, and not quite finished to the edges there, but looks quite tidy, looks different. We've also done some interior wallpapering. So this is quite nice in that you can wipe it, it's clean.
So for every YouTube video I watched, everyone suggested a different process. So this is the one that I used for the 2 blocks that I've already done. And I did start initially with just a test block from a cutout that we had left over. And first step, of course, is to sand everything so it's nice and smooth, take out any imperfections in the wood. And the next step was to use the preconditioner for the wood, which I found that it made a big difference in when I used it and when I didn't use it on the test block, and it does come out, the stain does come out a lot smoother. So I would highly recommend using the wood conditioner. Secondly, the stain that we went with, and that was a whole process too, to find out what was the right color that we wanted to finish up with. And I ended up using the Min Wax. And it's a tiny little jar, which doesn't look a lot for all the projects that I've done to stain the wood, but really you only need a tiny, tiny bit. And I have only done 1 coat of the stain because that gave us the color that we wanted. So the one that we went with was Min Wax stain, semi-transparent, and it's a dark walnut stain. So that's the color that we ended up with. And then at the end, this is what I did a lot of research from on YouTube, but everybody has so many different ideas of what the best finish is. But personally, I wanted the matte. I didn't want any sheen. I didn't want the satin, definitely no gloss, no sheen at all. It's a completely matte finish on the wood, but it still gives the protection that you need, obviously, in the kitchen. We've used it on the bench in the bathroom, which is going to get wet, probably not that much water in the bathroom, but yeah, it's going to work for there too, because I did a test at the end to see if the water did actually penetrate through the finish, and it doesn't. But the process I did through this, so these two, the pre-stain and the varnish, the stain is oil-based, and you can actually put on top a water-based polyurethane, which is great because I found on other projects that I've done, when you put on any varnish on the top, it comes out, it's so hard to not leave any streaks in the end or to have any bubbles. So with this one, and I put it on with a rag, it didn't have that problem at all. I watered it down. I did a 50-50 mix between the polyurethane and water because it's water-based. It went on very easy with the rag into all the grooves. Now saying that, it did take an extra amount of time because I need to put on double the amount of finish. I think in the end, the ones that I've already done, I ended up with maybe 14, maybe more, 14 coats, but it's so quick, it was easy. There was no issues with bubbles or streaking. So when I come to that step, then I show you how I apply that. But first, step 1 is to sand both sides of the worktop. so that's the top and bottom sanded. I spent a lot more time on the top side, of course, to get out all the imperfections than I did on the underside, but I'm doing everything the same all the way around just so it has a complete seal. And for all you woodworking experts out there, then you're probably pretty horrified about my skill level, especially my dad. Sorry, Dad. So, step 2, pre-wood conditioning. So we brought the countertop, the worktop, into my office just because there's no dust in here and Ian can carry on in the garage making a mess. So I mixed 50-50 with distilled water, because it's water-based, into this tub, and then I have my rag in this tub. And because it dries so quickly, because it is a lot of water content now, I can just come back every hour and put another layer on. I'm going to just show you one coat, and it's super easy. But this is almost done. I'm going to do a little test with the water just to make sure that that it's not going to seep in anywhere, and then we're good to put this actually in, because now we're on a timeline to get this thing finished.
So this is the banquette. Handles on, drawers are in, countertop is done. The fridge has also been reinstalled. Obviously it's been deep cleaned. We've reinstalled this device here, which is a monitor for the different water tanks and so on. So here we can see the shower area. Still quite a bit of work to do, especially clean up and edges and all those types of things, fine touches. It's roughed in at the moment, but it's looking much more like a bathroom. So there is one light installed. It comes with mounting brackets like this, but it doesn't fit in the well very well. It doesn't fit in the socket very well. So what I did, I actually cut the springs and basically created a similar design as the original install. The original install has one of these, and it fits in, and there's a spring here that holds it in place, and then there's an adjustment nut here and an adjustment nut on the right, which basically helps you angle the light in and out like this. You can see this is the ring install. This bracket has got these bolts that clip on. You can see the spring mechanism here, and that's designed so that when it's installed you can actually adjust it and adjust the beam. But it's not designed for this vehicle, it's actually designed for a Harley Davidson. So what I've done, I've taken the ring off, I've leveraged the springs that you see there. I've incorporated the springs into the original bracket design on the vehicle, and you might be able to see back here there's an adjustment screw, and behind that I've actually cut a spring in half, which gives it the right kind of distance, and the same on this point here. And I've put a rubber bung behind this one as a lever point, and that way I can get the full adjustments that I need to make sure the light works. And it can be adjusted so it's not in people's faces when we're driving down the street. So we found this unit and we're going to use it, or create it, as a console for the sun center in between the two seats. And I'm just about to drill some holes, because what we're going to do is we're going to install some cup holders, and there'll be a little tray in the front, And it will be quite handy for just when we're traveling, putting stuff on. We need to find a way to secure it to the floor. I'm thinking of some kind of brace to brace it down, just in case there's any movement and it doesn't become a projectile. But we think that will work quite nice, especially with the other decor that's in the vehicle. Here is the finished product. So you might recall we talked about putting a little bit of a drop ceiling. So this is a frame for a drop ceiling. We're going to put a bit of board on the bottom. It'll have uplighters, LED lights around, so when the lights come on, it'll actually shine a nice light against the roof. That's what the frame looks like. You can see how it came together. And there's the finished product.
Looks like a halo.
It's cool. Oh, gotta take the tape off. So sorry a little bit because I didn't get to film doing all this, but this is the bathroom. We need some coverings for this, but we can see the shower and the nice wood seat. This has got to come off. This is just a plastic protection. Shelving. Toilet's going to go here. And it's a bit difficult to see, but you get to see our cabinets. And a couple of things to think about when we're installing this type of flooring. The nice thing is it cuts with a blade, a sharp Stanley blade or a X-Acto knife, and it's always handy having a metal square too, so I can get nice clean edges, scour the back of the material, and it should break off and snap off nice and cleanly, and that way then it makes sure we get the right fit. Also need to leave a little bit of room for expansion and contraction for the winter cold and the summer heat. So given that it's probably at its maximum length right now, given the warmth of the day-to-day, that will mean I'll have a slightly tighter fit, and as it shrinks in the colder weather, it'll open up a little bit, but we'll actually cork around the edges, so it'll allow for that expansion and contraction. It'll look very tidy. So here is the finished product with the skirts and with the flooring. What you'll notice here also is that we use the flooring as a skirt under here also. Just gives it a nice tidy finish, and it gives almost a little bit of a floating feeling to the cabinets at the back there. So here we are on an inaugural weekend for our first attempts to experience what it's like to spend some time in the SPACEBUS and see what works and what doesn't work and what we need to remember to bring. And one of the key learnings as we first arrived, was trying to make a fire pit without an axe. Our wood is a little bit too big, so unless we're burning down tree trunks, that doesn't work. So next time
we did have a nice fire.
But a little axe, a little hatchet would be perfect for such a task. But anyway,
that's on the list. Plus hammocks. We have a bunch of hammocks in our house, and we have the perfect setup here. Everybody had hammocks hanging out, so that would be good. But here we are. We are actually in Kildare Provincial Park in Ontario on a beautiful weekend. It's pretty quiet now. It's a Sunday afternoon, and it's been an experience.
a learning experience.
First time in a provincial park.
Yep. First camping in the fall weather, because it's quite chilly, and it got quite chilly last night.
Yeah. And there's apparently a bear active in the park, which is nice and wonderful for the bear, but and it'd be lovely to see, but you don't want to come across it.
Through the window, we can see it through the window.
Yeah. So why don't we show you what it looks like inside now? And the exterior still needs a little bit of work. We just did some touch-up paints for this year, just to kind of make it look okay and deal with some of the nicks and knacks that were on the vehicle, but we'll probably get it painted or wrapped or something like that. We've had the roof wrapped already, as you know, but why don't we take a look inside and you can see.
You'll actually notice that we have stowaways. This is the first camping trip for the girls ever, and they've been so terrified on the drive here, and they're pretty much nervous of everything anyway, but they're so exhausted last night they slept right through. It's pretty quiet here anyway, there wasn't too much noise, but we're thankful that there was not their nervousness and they kept us awake all night. That's not the case, and they've been really good. So without further ado, let's go inside. Welcome, come inside. So as you'll notice when you come through the main door, the kitchen is finished. We're about 95% finished. There's a few little touches here and there that you'll notice when we go around that are not quite finished, but it doesn't make it doesn't hinder us in actually using it. So the kitchen. Little demonstration because Ian loves this. I love it too. You'll notice that we have a bit of a blue theme going on. We have the lights above the storage counters that change to blue. This side we have some more blue lighting, and the main lighting. Oh, we did some strip lighting. And just an added bonus, blue light on the tap. So let's not waste the water because we have very little of it. So the kitchen is all finished. We have an outlet for the very all-important coffee machine, which was an absolute must in camping. We have the magnetic knife rack, which is quite a good one. I did a lot of research in which one to get to make sure that they're not going to fall off.
But we take them off when it's travelling, of course.
When we're moving, we will take it off just for safety. Above, we have the storage. There's not a whole lot of storage in the coach, but just for a short trip like we've been taking, then there's enough. I've managed to find some storage boxes that fits in our condiments, some tin goods. You know, see there's a lot of storage units that are not storage space that are not being used, and of course important onboard food, Heinz beans. Should we turn around and go that way first? Oh, let's do the dinette. So the dinette, we managed to get the cushions sized and fitted. I didn't make those, but they came and they were easy to fill and they work perfectly in that space. The table, the dining table, we have a bit of a lazy Susan thing going on here, so we need to fix that. That's one thing we need to fix. But it's good, we can move it around, and if needs be we can actually take it outside. That was the idea of it. And while we're traveling, maybe we could do the traveling at a later stage, but this does need to be held down because this is going to be a projectile and moving object if we ever needed to stop abruptly. The important storage.
But we do anchor it down.
We do anchor it down, yeah. Sorry, exactly. I'll show that later. The wonderful storage unit that you built for all cutlery. There's a lot of storage in these drawers. A lot of space. And just to demonstrate our secret hideaway back here, because the drawers don't go all the way back. There is some storage space at the back here. I don't think there's anything in it, is there?
Not right now.
No. For those of you who are observant, you'll notice that I don't have actually anything to cook on in the kitchen, except the hidden microwave. The microwave, which we've demonstrated before, is not just a microwave, but it's a convection oven and an air fryer too, which of course we need electric hookup to use this. But this is on a drawer, which is quite stiff, just like the drawer unit at the back. Anything that rolls in and out needs to be quite tight, so it doesn't roll about when we're moving. So that takes away nice and tidily underneath the counter and leaves me with a ton of counter space to do prep, and the microwave can still be in use at the same time. Another reason why it's on a drawer and not just using it in the cupboard is for air circulation. So if it is on for a little while, then we're not having any issues with heat buildup at the back, so it's good for circulation. The door is finished. It was a bit of a challenge to take all the pieces off. Well, I believe so, because Ian did it. I was just responsible for wood staining. Everything's put back. The lock works, the latch works again, and the blinds on the window, the door window, have to be a little bit different because they have to fit snugly inside, so we can still have the ability to open and close the door. So with a quite precise measurement, I measured some little press studs into the side of the vinyl around the window, and you'll notice it's such a tight space, it had to be quite precise, so there was no overhang. So on the shade there's a press stud, and it goes all the way around. Again, because the door curves, I wasn't able just to let it hang. And there we go, nice private. These could be tucked away, and total privacy on the door. Another important feature for the door, especially for short people, me. Hold on, girls, where are you going? Right there. An all important step, because we're using a temporary one just to get in and out, is we were able to locate the recusa. It's called recusa step for the GMC Motorhome. So we were able to get hold of one, and Ian installed it. Basically, it works quite simply. It folds up when we're in transit, nice and stiff, like parts inside, so it doesn't swing open when we're moving. But this is great, it works perfectly. Then we can open it up to get in and out for short people. Here's one of the maybe 5% of the items that we've not quite finished yet, is to put the end caps on some of these storage units. It is, when we go back around later, we'll actually show you what it is going to look like. But this is one of the small issues that we've come across, that this corner is quite exposed. You'll see that we have like a little rubber bung on there. For me, not an issue, but anybody that's higher than 5'1" is an issue. So when they walk in, that's kind of a banging point, which is not great, especially for Ian. We were going to put a credenza storage unit underneath, which would have avoided that, but now the dogs are with us. That's perfectly where their beds fit. Otherwise they're going to be in the middle of the alleyway, and we're going to be tripping over them. So we're not quite sure if we're going to change this up or how we're going to eliminate the accident waiting to happen. These storage units, just a quick peek inside these. This is where we keep all the important essential equipment for s'mores. So we have our roasting forks and marshmallows. Storage boxes for food, all our dry food like crackers, and then this is designated for the doggos with their little bowls. Thinking again of storage space, so they get little bowls and all their goodies and collars and everything else that they probably need more equipment than we do. The fridge, as you remember, we reused. It was one of the few items we did actually recycle from the original coach. We just finished the fascia and they're working great. Yeah, not a lot going on in the freezer right now. I've run out of things to say about the fridge and the freezer. Okay, let's turn it around. The living room and the sofa is also our sleeping area, so later on we can actually pull out the bed and make it all up, and it pulls out to about here, which is good sizing because now the girls are actually traveling with us. There's space for all of us to sleep. The chairs at the front swivel around, so this is extra seating, which is really quite comfortable at night. It's actually like driving and riding a car and sitting on your sofa. Okay, the window blinds, I think I've run through these before. They are basically one flat piece of fabric rolled up onto a dowel. So because you'll notice, because of gravity, they'll just hang flat. We have a couple of little hooks that keep them back. Perfect. So these are great. They actually, when the first trip that we took, it was quite hot and they did keep out a lot of the heat, and also they were blackout. So at night from the outside, even with all the lights on, you can't see anything inside, so they're completely blackout. Perfect. So these are on little hooks around the rail. They go all the way around. Lighting on this side, same idea. We have the fancy blue lighting as a night light in the evening, which is quite bright because we did leave one on last night and it was a little bit too bright, but again, we're keeping with the blue theme. Okay, what else? About face? Bathroom. Just to demonstrate our little folding door. Such a tiny space that we had to take quite a few panels out of these so we didn't have too much going on and it'd be a hindrance and in the way. So our bathroom door, and if we can all squeeze in, we have the main light. Can we all squeeze in together? Which you'll notice at the back, we have a beautiful big window, but of course it's kind of important to have privacy in the back. Generally when we park up, we back into the space, but still there's people that could be wandering back and forth. And when you have this big light on, it's a bit like a goldfish bowl. So again, the same concept with the hooks at the bottom to keep it down because it does curve a little bit. So complete privacy. So we have the bench. Squeeze around. The shower works perfectly. This is one of the things that we really wanted to test out on our first night out, and this is, you'll notice there's a lot of kind of ribbons and velcro and tie backs. When we're in motion, then it's important that all this stuff is tied up. There's lots of space in the shower. So the curtain comes up, and how I actually put it is around the bench. It's not that you can leave the tap running, the shower running for hours, so it's a quick shower and lots of space. Our wardrobes! This is the size of our wardrobes, but it's plenty. There's enough space again for just a few nights away. We got a space just enough for a little jacket each. All these storage units I got from Ikea, and they fit perfectly into kind of every nook and cranny that we have. This is just got extra towels in. Now traveling with dogs, if it is wet, then we've got raincoats and towels for the dog. Same on this side, a few more storage unit items, which is good for smalls and shoes. There's a few things that we've not finished yet. We have a few handles to go on to the wardrobes here, but it's not that it's super difficult. They're actually closed with magnets, which is working well when we're traveling as well. Underneath the sink, we have the water heater underneath the sink, and again we have some extra little space at the side there for some toiletries. The most important item of when we're traveling is the front cab, and the space each for coffee and water and for knickknacks, and there's a storage space underneath as well, where there's a basket just filled with generally it's our coach junk drawer. This is where everything goes when we don't know what to do with it. When the girls are traveling with us, that's where the cookies go. Sound system and yeah, everything that we could possibly want at the front is all here.